Hey y'all, and welcome to Brawl. My name is Brian, and Senator Kennedy doesn't just grill this witness, he gets this witness to admit the entire Democrat Party approach to the censorship industrial complex. This is crazy. Let's dive in.
You wrote a law review article in December of 2023 for the New York University Law Review, and it was about the two cases, Bruin Supreme Court case and Dobbs. Remember that article?
Yes, I do.
Okay. In this article, you said, I'm going to quote your words. Taken together, these two cases demonstrate that the Supreme Court has embraced the use of the Constitution as a tool of racial patriarchy, end quote. Did you say that?
Yes.
Okay. And then you went on to say, quote, when the Supreme Court declares that there is a constitutional right to armed self-defense in public, it openly embraces and promotes a culture that privileges white men's ability to terrorize and kill those that they perceive as threats, close quote. Did I read that correctly?
I believe so. Thank you for reading.
Okay. And did you also say in that article, I'm going to quote again, quote, by simultaneously expanding white men's right to kill and constricting women's right not to die, this Supreme Court, referring to the current United States Supreme Court, has turned the Constitution into a homicide pact as well, close quote. Did you write that?
That sounds like me.
Okay. In November of 2024, you tweet, don't you?
I'm not sure what the current terminology is for it, but yes, I am sometimes on the social platform that was formerly known as Twitter.
Yeah, you're on a lot, aren't you?
I'm not sure what the relevance of that is.
You try to be provocative on there, don't you?
Again, I'm not sure what the relevance
Well,
of this question
let me
is.
show you the relevance. On November 7th, 2024, from your tweet, here's one of your tweets at 2:41 p.m., quote, the majority of Americans hate women. The majority of Americans hate women more than they love anything, including democracy, close quote. Did I read that correctly?
I am not sure what this has to do with the subject matter of this
Did you
hearing.
say it?
I do not have those words in front of me. I probably said something along those lines, but
Yeah,
what is
you
the
said it.
relevance of
Here
that
it
to
is,
this
big as
hearing?
Dallas, right there.
Yes.
But your political beliefs don't impact your feelings about President Biden or President Trump.
I don't have feelings about either of them. What I have
Sounds
is
to me
doctrine.
like you have your favorite feeling is anger. Let me ask you this. You issued another tweet. This was in May of 2022. You've just been tweeting up a storm. You said, quote, there's a reason why the conservative-dominated Supreme Court thinks the Constitution does not contain a right to an abortion, but is convinced that it contains an individual right to possess firearms. And that reason is white male supremacy, close quote. Did I read that correctly?
Is there a question in this?
Did I read that correctly? That's
Is there
my
a question that is relevant to this hearing?
Did I read that correctly? Do you really think that the United States Supreme Court, you're an officer of the court, is guided by white male supremacy?
I believe that the First Amendment prohibits the president
Did you
other
say
state
that?
officials for punishing people for
Did
their
you honestly say that, Professor?
I
And you
believe
expect us,
that the First
as a
Amendment,
Democratic witness, to take you seriously? Are you kidding me?
I believe that you should take
You
the First
heard of
Amendment
curb your
seriously, sir.
enthusiasm? Here's my saying, curb my nausea.
This is a professor, someone who teaches students, and someone whose testimony, by the way, every single witness who comes before the Senate and the Congress gives a written testimony. They usually do it in PDF file, and they'll upload it almost as soon as the testimony is given on that day. And her testimony is essentially this: that conservatives are out of control, that Fox News is the biggest giver of disinformation. She is someone that somehow believes that the, just for lack of a better phrase, the censorship industrial complex isn't just a real thing, that it's a necessary thing. You've got to be kidding me. You've got to be kidding me. This is someone who truly believes not only in the feminist nonsense of the patriarchy, which, by the way, Senator Kennedy, let me know if you think he's a part of the patriarchy down below. Good grief. This is nonsense. This is absolute nonsense. And to make matters worse, this is someone that the Democrats quite literally invited to come and speak before the Senate and not only defend the ridiculousness and inaccuracies of the censorship industrial complex, which, by the way, if you don't know what that means, what we're really talking about is the fact that the CIA and the FBI and the Department of Homeland Security all approached major Silicon Valley organizations and told them to downplay the Hunter Biden laptop story. Okay? That's the big issue there. And what was on that laptop? Bank records, email files, pretty much anything establishing a link between Hunter Biden and the Burisma Corporation and the Romanian government and the Chinese Communist Party. And she's defending this. This might be the worst witness Democrats have ever brought forth in front of the Senate. This is insane. This is absolutely bat guano insane that they brought her forward. And then to make matters worse, she appreciates the volume. And what do I mean by volume? She is now in the official record. She is now on the internet. People are looking her up. The title of the video that I'm currently watching in order to bring this to you is Almost Unwatchable. Okay? That's how bad this witness is for the Democrat Party. Because this witness was flaunting the fact that she is a feminist nightmare with a professional degree to teach students just how bad the censorship industrial complex will go in order to make sure that the First Amendment doesn't really pertain to the individual. That is you and me. And her testimony, her written testimony, is even worse. To repeat, no official can dictate what Americans can say, think, or believe. So far, so good. The First Amendment constrains the government from interfering with freedom of speech. That includes the president, his administration, members of Congress, special government employees, there's a reason for those air quotes, I'll get to that in a moment, and other government actors. The First Amendment does not constrain non-government actors from making their own choices what to say, what to hear, what to promote. Indeed, it does the opposite. There is no freedom of speech. We apparently don't have it. According to this lame brain, somehow professor, Democrat witness. I apologize, I'm getting a little overreacting here, but the reality is, this is what the Democrats ultimately want. This is what leftists ultimately want. They want to censor what is going on in every single possible platform on the internet or in mainstream print media, and this is going on later in her testimony, she constantly talks about Fox News. This is insane. The First Amendment guarantees that Congress shall enact no law that interferes basically with the right to freedom of speech, the freedom of religion, or the right for people to congregate together. And this woman apparently goes out and doesn't just say the opposite, but says instead that as long as it's not Congress, you don't have that right. This is what the Democrats ultimately want. This is what leftists ultimately want. This is communism in action. Propagandist nonsense that is trying to take the form of, oh, I'm a professor. I know more than you. This is insane. This is an egregious attempt to circumvent the First Amendment in order to censor what you can, see, or say on the internet. Senator Kennedy normally goes into much greater detail, but I think he did just enough to prove that this is the absolute worst Democrat that this is the worst witness that Democrats have brought forth, and perhaps in the entire Senate history. That includes, by the way, the 1860 kerfluffle that ultimately ended up in a civil war. This is insane. I genuinely can't understand this. Please tell me if you understand this in the comments below. I'm beyond flabbergasted here. My name is Brian. Hope you enjoyed this segment here on Brawl. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Catch you on the next one. Until then, y'all have a good one.